And we're live. Hello, internet. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Wave.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
We're here.
We are here. We are
No
almost
issues.
on time. And we're trying. We're really just trying. And that's all we can do. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Beauty and the Beard, Bearded Femme Drag. Participants, how are we?
Great.
We're doing good.
We're feeling fine. We're feeling
Rested.
Beautiful, blessed,
all of the
Mhm.
above.
Big boobs.
alliterative.
Yes.
Lubricated.
Ooh. All right. All right. Well, once again, welcome to Beauty and the Beard. We're going to start with just a few quick introductions, although I'm sure you already know all of the fabulous, fuzzy, bearded besties here on camera today. Let's go ahead and start off with, I see, I've got the cameras all over the place. You're all in the wrong places. Whoops.
Oh, look at me being a video. Oh.
So while and my alerts didn't turn off like I thought they would. Oopsies. So while I don't know, throw myself off a cliff, let's go ahead and start with who's supposed to be right next to me, which would be Vidius 515. Who are you? Mama, I don't hear you.
Oh, muted.
You know what? We are pretty and we don't have to actually understand technology. That's what I would like to say. All right? I don't even know my own name. Hello, my name is Vidius. Feel free to call me Evie. I'm your bestie bearded beer loving babe here on Twitch. And tonight we are enjoying a delicious winter ale by Samuel Adams. This one happens to be like me, a little chilly, but it'll make you feel all warm inside. Try one today.
Hashtag not sponsored, but could be. Hey.
0. None
Wait,
of
we
that
gotta
stuff.
follow that now?
All right, let's move on over to Lucy McGee.
Oh, hello. I'm your dad-shaped friend, Lucy McGee. I'm the hostess of Shady Gaming, a channel here on Twitch, part of Team Stream Queens. We're a rotating cast of kings, queens, and in-betweens because all drag is what? Valid.
Yes. Love that. All right, Rita.
I yield the rest of my time.
Oh.
Hi, my name is Rita Book. Miss Rita Book if you're dumb. Ow. And I am the bookmark who put you in your place. I am an inconsistent drag streaming artist here on Twitch and a consistent troll in some of your favorite Stream Queens chat. And currently I'm reading this, the Oxford Dictionary of Nursery Rhymes. It's a good read. It's filled with a bunch of different nursery rhymes. 549, what a weird number to end on. And yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk about being both beautiful and bearded.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. I'm Twilight-K94, level beard drag artist on the platform, DVD Killer Main, never toxic bunny thing. Despite what the leader of Stream Queens may tell you, never toxic. We're gorgeous, we're stunning, and we're beautiful.
There we have it.
I'm just here first to speak out for bunny things. That's why I'm here. Not
Right.
for the beards.
Right.
We have questions. We have lots of questions.
And we have some answers.
You might get an answer too, but mostly you're just going to get messed up IT, very fuzzy faces, and progressively drunk as we go on. Are we ready?
Am I the only one that doesn't Debbie Delight here?
That's hot.
What was the
Featuring my
question?
follow alert.
Like, am I the only one that doesn't Debbie Delight in this panel?
I have
Yes.
Debbie Delighted once. If anybody ever needs a newbie to play with, I'm more than happy to bring down the killer rank by being on your team.
I love a good MMR decrease. Oh, makes me feel like
I'm gonna
warm.
pretend like I know what that means.
Is that vaccine? Measles, mumps, rubella?
I've got a double boost of a what was it, MMR?
Yes.
Mhm.
Anyway, I'm Carrie the One. I'm barely holding it together. I'm a drag queen in beautiful Maine. Been doing drag for about 2 years, and you can catch me playing mostly Fortnite. Let's just be honest. I keep using Variety Streamer, but mama, it's all Fortnite all the time. Over at twitch.tv/Carrie the One. And so let's just start with a few quick, I guess maybe acknowledgements before we get into the questions. We have a lot to cover. I hope you all brought your notebooks. I hope you brought a pen. I hope you brought your purse so you can buy some merch for Amphar. And, let's get into it. All right. So first, I want to start by acknowledging that there are many communities not represented in this panel. So by no means do any of us speak for all bearded drag queens, all bearded drag artists, nor do we speak for anybody beyond our own experience. So please do not take anything specifically that Lucy says and apply it to the entire community. I mean, any of us say. and apply it to the entire community. This is just our own experience as bearded
All
drag
right,
dragsters. And again, most of us do drag mostly in America. So dragsters. So understand that by all means, do not take what we say as kind of a categorical across the board experience of all drag, bearded drag artists. So that said, first question, and I'm just gonna let you all kind of weigh in. We're not gonna go around in a circle or anything because I can't wrangle all of this. But first question is, what does it mean to you to be a bearded drag queen, drag artist? What does that kind of represent or mean to you? Anybody can kind of jump in. Or nobody can. Okay. Work.
It's a hard question because I've been pondering this since you sent us that packet, and I don't want to say it doesn't mean anything to me because it does mean a lot, but also I see drag as just a multitude spectrum of everything, and so I don't like the idea that we have to separate bearded drag into its own category, even though the mainstream drag scene tends to do that and push us to the side as an alt fringe act, but we are just as stunning and sickening and versatile as anyone else, with or without a beard.
Amen.
Yeah, and just freedom of expression. I mean, free to be who we want and whoever we want to be.
For me, the thing that I like about, and maybe this is a little bit, not opposition, but slightly different, is like, I've always seen bearded drag as like a good place to just like continuously be campy. And it is like from a much more like campy tradition. And I really admire that aspect. I mean, maybe that's just my own experience of the bearded queens that I sort of like have encountered. But I do think that there is like a strong aesthetic value, a strong like performance background, and that's situated in campiness. That, you know, to a certain extent I try to honor when I do Rita. But I absolutely agree with Lucy that like a lot of times it's just like pigeonholed as being, and we'll get into that a little bit later, as being like exclusively campy. But it is something that I do think there is a tradition of, and I really like to celebrate like that aspect of it as well.
Yeah, for me, being a bearded drag artist, it affirms my identity. My drag is a little bit more tied into my gender expression, and so being able to feel beautiful and feel glamorous, even being a little fuzzy in the face, that is really what I like to bring, to kind of to not only kind of have a wink and a nod at gender, but also explore it for myself. That's what I really like.
That really like Evie, that really resonates with me because like, I mean, once again, maybe I'm jumping ahead, but like having a beard and drag is like, for me, it's like masculine, like feminizing the masculine and masculinizing the feminine. And I really like being able to do both, like when I'm not in drag, I'm typically a pretty like flamboyant, feminine, male presenting person. Whereas like in drag, I still like to be very feminine, but like still have those like elements of masculinity to sort of bring them together and mesh them together both in and out of drag because it's exactly what you said of like I kind of want to play with both in and out of drag.
Yeah, hair doesn't have a gender.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't.
No.
I mean, it just doesn't. And so like, that's what we do, is showing that you can have hair wherever, and you can still feel, especially in this panel, we're femme presenting, I would say. And like that's just something we can show, that hair doesn't have a gender. It can be whatever you want it to be.
And it can be beautiful.
When I name my wigs.
Yes.
This is Brenda, by the way. She says hello.
We should have got a nameplate for Brenda, so sorry. Next year.
She'll get a Chiron next year.
Yeah. No, I agree completely. I think for me at least, and I am someone who started, and this is a question that I want to ask all of you as well, is I started not doing bearded drag and then added it kind of later on because I felt like one of the things that drag really has the power to do is challenge. And I think our responsibility as drag artists is to challenge what we perceive to be masculine, feminine, what we perceive to be what folks can or can't do based on their gender. And I think I really like that. Maybe I thrive too much on the trolls, but I like when people are like, "Is that a man or a woman?" I'm like, I want you to be thinking about that. I want you to wonder, and I want you to challenge what you consider to be a man or a woman. And so for me, I think that's the point, honey. Personally.
And that's actually how I got into bearded drag, because Evie, you know this, I didn't start with bearded drag at all. I was looking back questionable. But yeah, I didn't start with a beard, and I done it because a friend Dro wanted to do bearded drag, and I was like, I don't do bearded drag, so I grew out my beard. Grow and Dro, same thing. They go. So it's like I grew it out to help, and then someone came to my chat to be trolling, like drag queens are supposed to have beards, blah blah blah. I'm like, wait, no. So I kind of use mine as like a political statement to say, excuse my language, but fuck the trolls. Like,
Yes.
you can't dictate what I do. Like, all drag is, like Lucy said, all drag is valid.
Mhm.
Just because hair or not. So it's kind of like a big, huge middle finger to people who say drag is this. Don't go outside the box.
I do want to jump in on that, but it also goes into another question. I don't want to like step on.
No, please. We have like questions like planned, but by all means, just take it wherever it goes. And if we get too far off track, I'll.
Trust me for moderating last night. Like we have too many
Okay.
questions prepared. We're not going to have enough time to get through them.
Sure.
Every single panel. But the reason I didn't start drag until Carry the One 4.5 years ago. Like I'm very new to the drag scene. I didn't start until my mid-30s. I'm very late to the game, and the reason like I started the bearded drag because is unfortunately due to negative self-body image. In the bear community, there's a lot tied into the look and the masculinity and the beard and the hair, and I didn't want to get rid of that, especially because I was very, very put off and frightened from ever shaving my beard again when I was hit on by a woman thinking I was a woman last time I shaved my beard off at a leather bar.
I told you I was sorry, okay?
Which was 15 years ago, so I'm not the fresh-faced boy I was back then, but still, it happened, and so just like it became like this thing, I like almost like a support thing and like an attraction thing, and just the hatred of how I look, and like, oh, at least this beard hides my double chin, and then eventually I owned it. So I control the beard doesn't control me anymore.
Yeah. I have a really partially similar experience in that I think for me, the decision to start doing the beard was partially like an aesthetic choice too, where out of drag, I started shaving my brows and I hated how I looked without brows and without a beard. I felt like an egg. I felt like a potato, like name your food group. That's what I felt like. And so it kind of turned into this like, well, let's try it. Let's see what happens. And I know I see a lot of names in chat right now who are maybe in similar boats where, you started as barefaced drag and you're kind of maybe experimenting or trying out bearded drag. And I think that's not an uncommon experience where, most of us don't get to live as drag artists 24/7. And so I think there's definitely an element of kind of finding balance between who you are in drag versus who you are. Potato the one. Hello.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that brings up like a really important, I think, like point is with most drag, it's sort of like this compromise between like your in drag persona versus your out of drag life. And like for some people, there is like a certain amount of freedom to do different things with your gender expression, whether that's like shaving your brows, whether that's like shaving different elements of your face. Like there are just certain things and compromises that people make, regardless of like quote unquote if you're a bearded queen or not. That I think that's the way that I think about being bearded as well, of like this is a decision that like sort of fits with like both worlds, right? And I think that a lot of times that gets lost, that like every decision that goes into like your drag that also has like a consequence to like your out of drag self. It sort of fits in the same category of like it's all ultimately a compromise of like where your life is, where your drag is, and sort of like what your expression is at that particular time.
Sure. And that kind of ties back to what we were saying earlier about, out of drag even, we shouldn't feel that pressure to look a certain way, or I shouldn't feel like when I don't have a beard or brows that I am undesirable or whatever. But that applies, beyond just the art form.
I did want to offer a point for at least myself, is that I get the identity and like having a beard, and when you're maybe predominantly male presenting in your day to day, it's a comfort level. I've had a beard since I was 13. I mean, like there's very limited options unless I want to shave 3 times a day to not have a beard. I mean, I'm just follically inclined.
Follically
Hashtag
inclined, word phrase of the day.
I mean, hello,
Yeah, if you got it, you got it.
But like what I think that there's a misconception in the drag queen community that bearded drag is lazy. And I think
Mm.
that is something
Speak on it.
that I think that is something that we get a lot of. Like, I remember 2 years ago when I started doing bearded drag on Twitch, I'd have people come into my chat and they're like, I know why you don't shave your beard. And like, well, what is that supposed to mean? It's like, oh, well, you just actually don't want to do real drag. You know, you're being lazy. And I'm like, honey, clock it.
I think you're doing
Just
real
lazy.
drag
Like,
today.
Get up close.
I
Let me talk
mean,
to you. Yeah.
It takes 2 seconds to do this.
I've seen
I mean-
plenty of queens with, without a beard that.
Right. I mean, it's more of the point of like, do you realize that my beard grows, I was talking to y'all earlier, my beard grows up to here. I mean,
Same.
it goes out to my eyeball.
Yeah.
It's like if you're shaving in a rush and you got to paint in 90 minutes, imagine as being a predominantly bearded drag queen and shaving off half of your mustache. I mean, it's like we have limited options at that point. I mean, just
I can't
think
pull that Amish look off.
But the other thing is, like, people very much underestimate, and this will probably get into like a sort of separate conversation of like how we curate our beards now as it relates to our drag, of like there is still a certain level of maintenance of like there is an artistic vision that incorporates the beard in whatever shape it is into the drag that I'm doing. Like there is still a reason that it looks the way it looks that requires like maintenance, curation. Like Evie, you were saying, your beard grows up really high. And so like you're still curating a beard to have a certain look when you accentuate your features with makeup. Like
Right.
it's still it still plays into the calculation of like your overall drag persona.
Yeah.
That I think that some people fundamentally underestimate, that like that there is still like maintenance, there is still like shaping, there's still a lot of different elements that come into play. And I mean, back to your lazy point, it's one of these things that it's like, oh, I would love to paint your face, but like you'd have to shave. And it's like, well, then you're not a very good makeup artist if you don't think you can make it work with
Right.
like with that restriction. Like
Right.
you would never tell somebody with thicker brows to like shave their brows
Yeah,
off.
or
You
pluck
would never
them.
tell somebody with differently proportioned like features to, get lip filler if you're going to paint them, or like get cheek filler. And it's one of these things of like, you can still accentuate with makeup, like an overall effect that you actually want. But a lot of people tend to forget that like adding a strip of contour somewhere on the lower half of my face still doesn't mean that you can't do makeup everywhere else on my face.
Right. Right. Yeah, I like to call it like bearded drag is like multimedia drag. Like we're working 3-dimensionally, we're working with makeup, we're working with hair. And I think that honestly, I've seen some, not to like compare, but I think some of the most creative looks I've seen have been from folks who are bearded, mustache, like people who are kind of embracing that part of who they are and making it part of the look. Because you're already released kind of from a lot of those expectations of this is how a face is supposed to look, or this is how a drag artist is supposed to look. So you really have, I think, more permission to just step outside of that box.
Totally.
Yeah, and drawing shapes of my face with my mustache or my beard is the most favorite thing I can do.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Ugh. I draw them and I'm like, oh, ooh, this is a cool shape. Sometimes it's like out to my ear, sometimes it's not. I
Yeah.
love it.
Mhm.
It
This
gives
is the
you more to
longest my
play
beard's ever
with.
been in my
It does,
life.
that creative freedom.
Mhm.
Right.
And I'm like, and as a makeup artist and as a artist myself, I get to paint on my face, which is so fun.
Yeah.
I'm like a child.
You're your canvas.
Yeah.
Right.
You really are.
This, like, speaking of like, this is maintenance. Like, this is the longest my beard has ever been. Like, it was supposed to be beaded, but my beater broke right before we started getting in drag today. So it's
Rude.
like,
Rip to Justin Bieber.
I should have named him that, and maybe he would have stayed, like the Gussie Bottom he is.
Oh no.
But this gets shampooed, conditioned, and brushed every single day.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah, people don't realize
this
that.
takes
It's
work to look this not scraggly.
Right. It's like, I mean, you have to really take care of your beard. It's your hair, it's texture. I mean, you've got to clean it, you've got to condition it. There's different products. Sometimes you'll try a look and you're like, oh, I can't do that because my hair texture is so different, density. And then also, like, your beard grows in so many different ways. Like, I'm thicker here, I'm thinner here, especially my ass. But it's like, all those things, It's
Beat
a
it.
lot.
It is so soft now too. Like, touch this beard, darling.
Touch all of this.
Yes.
I love that.
Look at
I
the
love
overgrown
that.
pile of polyester.
I want to bring the conversation back around to, we kind of dipped our toes into some of the common misconceptions about bearded drag artists. We talked about folks seeing it as like the lazy or easy route. What are some of the other maybe misconceptions or stereotypes maybe that people have kind of applied to you as a bearded drag artist?
So recently I was having a conversation with, I do trivia pretty frequently with a group of people, and it's a multi-generational trivia team or whatever. And so, recently I've been like sort of telling them like, oh, I do drag, whatever. And before I showed any pictures, they were like, oh, but like, what about the beard? And I was like, well, I keep it. I do all this makeup around it, but like I keep the beard. And he says, oh, so you do booger drag. I said, Miss Thing, let me show you the pictures. Let's get out the photo albums. Are you telling me I do booger drag when I show you the photos? And I show you like, because that is a common misconception of like, just because you have a beard on like, or like any amount of facial hair on your face, that means that you don't know how to blend. You don't know how to apply eyeliner. You don't know how to glue your brows. You don't like, there is this association with like exactly what we've already sort of hit on, the laziness factor. And it's like, it's not a technique. Like having a beard isn't a technique of doing makeup, right? So I do think that there's always that association of sort of either laziness or I'm compensating for having a beard by being over the top, or like the biggest wigs and the biggest silhouettes and like everything's all comedy, when like it still can be like beauty. It still can be like soft. It can still be these other facets of drag, and it can be in all of these other dimensions other than purely just like high camp all the time. And I think that for me, that's been like the most frequent like sort of outside opinion that I've gotten about being a bearded queen.
Unsolicited opinion.
The word of the day
Always
is
unsolicited. Always. Yeah. Anybody else?
It's not only a misconception, but it's also a generational thing with some older, more not developed, but standalone, like, icons of your local drag scene. Like a few years ago, right before I started doing drag, there was a drag, local drag race with two bearded contestants. And one of the judges that night was an older, pageant queen who's been doing this for years and years and decades. And then when it came to the two bearded drag contestants, her judge critiques were just, I don't get it. I don't get bearded drag. I don't understand this. Why not shave that off? Why are you doing this? I don't understand. And gave them both like low scores because she just didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then why are you a judge?
I don't think you're judging.
Asking the questions that need to be asked. Yeah. I think, they kind of touched on this in, I think, the alt drag panel as well, in the sense that often, mainstream drag or the mainstream kind of understanding of drag is female impersonation and kind of the stereotype or archetype of female impersonation. So anything that falls out of that. And I think for me, that's the most frustrating thing, is that people will look at me and it's, oh, you're pretty. And it almost feels like it's like you're pretty despite the beard, not the beard is part of what makes the look. Like it's there for a reason. And it feels like you get seen as like, you're pretty. And like, there's this kind of asterisk of, but if you didn't have a beard, what if
you're pretty, but
right. Yeah. Exactly.
If it were me, I didn't ask.
Right. Unsolicited.
I mean, maybe like one of the other sort of like sort of ways people think about being bearded is like, maybe I just haven't experienced it, but like I just see so many more people giving me feedback on like the way that I do my makeup and the way, like it's a lot of feedback, a lot of unsolicited feedback, because it's like, oh, you have a beard, you're not taking it that seriously, so let me give you some advice, let me give you some pointers. And that's great if I've asked it of like a close friend, or like we have that rapport with each other, but like I do feel like people are quick to be like, well, you should do this, or you should do this, or have you done this? And it's like, well, Diva, like, let's celebrate what I'm doing, not what you think I should do.
What's crazy is I actually get more acceptance. I don't really perform live in my neighborhood, in my local drag scene. I perform mostly at breweries, where I do most of my drag shows at. And
we love a brewery.
So like these people aren't spoiled necessarily, because for a lot of them, I'm their first exposure to drag, period. And some of them ask, well, why the beard? And I say, well, why not? And they go, fair enough.
Well, okay.
And I go, well, gender is dead. It's over. Gender is dead. Cause of death, this bitch.
It has been declared here.
Officially.
Gender is dead.
Yeah, I mean, people make assumptions being a bearded. They make so many assumptions just like other drag artists. But I think they assume a lot about our gender. I think they assume a lot about our sexuality. I think they assume a lot about our subcultures, within whatever subsection that you are. And that's just not valid. It's just not.
Totally. Lucy, you touched on something that I wanted to bring up as well. So thank you for the excellent segue. I know some of us are like almost exclusively Twitch performers or Twitch drag artists, and some of us have some experience performing kind of out in the real world. So this question, I guess, could apply either to maybe your local drag scene or the kind of greater drag community here on Twitch. But what has your experience been with either the local drag scene in your area or with the greater Twitch community as a bearded artist? Do you feel like you're generally accepted? Do you feel like you're kind of treated with some of those stereotypes we talked about? How's your experience?
I will say Houston has a bearded drag renaissance. We have so many sickening bearded performers, kings, queens, in-betweens, all of them. We are like, have a huge alt community that's not being looked at because it's not mainstream drag, so it's not getting televised. But we're the home of Blackberry. We're the home of Barbacoa. We're the home of Jacqueline Dior. We're the home of so many others, baby
of
bearded
Lucy
queens that are coming out of the woodwork.
Right.
What?
Lucy McGee.
Lucy McGee, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't see. Okay, well, most of the Houston drag community does not accept me as real drag because I just do Twitch, and that's 98% of my drag. But the ones that do is the ones I care about, and those are the ones I'm talking about. The sickening ones, the ones that have the beard. Damien, the Lizard King of Houston. Ian Sider Blake, the daddiest dad of Houston kings ever, and the sweetest being you'll ever meet. So I think Blackberry is supposed to be on the show today, but she's actually making her debut at this one show with Lucy Stool tonight, so she couldn't be here because of that.
That's understandable. The one person I will take second fiddle to is Lucy Stool.
Absolutely.
And no other.
Who is amazing if you ever get a chance to see her perform.
Let me just pick those names up real quick.
So, I mean, my entry to the drag scene locally in Nashville has been like, honestly, it's been a longer process because like it's sort of been where I've found like the makeup I want to do, my wig styling, and like it has been like me finally getting to the point where like it's the character development phase of Rita Book in a way of like I was sort of planning her out and sort of thinking about it. The beard has always been a part of like my drag and my life since like 2017. So like that was always a part of it, but it's a lot harder to get that first initial stage. I feel like you're either in sort of a very much open stage situation, which is, it could be well attended. It really depends on the night, but there's no guarantee. And then so for me, like going online was like where I found my sense of community, like with finding other bearded queens that were doing something similar. I mean, finding like Evie stream and finding Carrie stream and seeing like the Twitch community here on Drag Race, not Drag Race. Oh, not that. The Twitch community here, the drag community on Twitch. Jesus, there we go. Speaking of bearded queens, Jesus. Anyway, Anyway, so like for me, what was most important was like finding that sense of community, and I found that oftentimes online with other either bearded artists or just seeing that represented in sort of like an online community space. And, you know, finding that and sort of, I felt like, for me at least, I had to prove myself a lot more like online of like doing things like showing that I can lip sync online, showing that like I can do this online. and then finally breaking in at like a place that I felt like was at least recognizing the drag that I do and recognizing like that there are certain ideas that may not fit on traditional stages and like that sort of thing.
Yeah, I've been a drag performer for going on 6 or 7 years now. My drag has evolved. Bearded drag was something that I refined and actually came into my own more as a drag artist on Twitch, which was a huge blessing for me. But that's something that I knew that on Twitch and also in my local scene, there's definitely a wall that happens with opportunities for us, which I don't like. But it's because I think that because of certain television programs, it's a wonderful that drag has been thrust into homes everywhere, but it's definitely through a specific lens. But what I always tell people is you may be less hairy than me, you may know how to blend out an eye better than I do, but honey, let me hit that stage and I will tell you that I can entertain a goddamn crowd. Just give me a minute. I can entertain. You know, and that's what I think everybody has. There's a certain level of comfort that you have when you are able to accept and paint and incorporate part of your beard into your look and your outlook. I think it just transcends a little bit more, that you're able to just be a little bit more cozy, a little bit more cozy, you know?
Yeah. Pie, want to share any of your experience?
Yeah. It's just, you know, drag is not something that's here where I live. You know, I live. If I want to actually do drag, I'd have to travel like 2-3 hours, and you know that's not easy for a lot of people. So Twitch has always been my drag outlet, and I don't like I said at first it wasn't accepted, but also if people come to my channel and you don't accept it, ban, block, bye.
Yeah,
I don't
exactly.
care if you don't accept me. I don't care. Like I surround people who accept me for who I am, accept my drag. If you don't like it, bye. I don't got time. When you get older, you just learn you don't care what other people think.
Amen.
You just stick with the people that actually like you and want to be around you. And I don't lose sleep over people who don't like the bearded drag. And I know that if I did travel those 2 hours, there's a lot of pageantry drag. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know I would have to fight tooth and nail to get like respect. Because it is all that pageant drag. And I know this would be like, no. Just no. Why?
I think I'm in a very similar boat in that it's very rural where I live. There are no like kind of explicitly queer spaces, and so any drag that exists is folks who have like picked it up from Drag Race or you know as social media, and that's great that there's that kind of accessibility for it. And again, we mainstream a certain type of drag, so there's a lot of skinny, white, blonde, cis male queens out there, and that's fine. But that doesn't leave a lot of room or space for those. Yeah. So I want to be very mindful over time. So we've got about 10-ish minutes left. So we're going to do 2 quick lightning rounds. So very quick answers, in and out, and then we'll do our plugs. Sound good?
Okay.
Perfect.
All right, first
Good
question.
in and out.
Yes, I knew you would. First question.
We're not all wearing our plugs.
oh well. Missed that
Hair
memo.
plugs, girl.
Yeah.
Beard plugs. Right?
This was fake the entire time.
So first question, I've seen it in chat a few times. People want to know, do you fill your beard? How do you fill your beard? What kind of products might you use for color? How do you kind of treat your...
I can go first. I get this question all the time. I use a variety of products. It depends on what color. I tend to love to match my hair color to my beard. But I use a product called Halicares tonight. This is fabulous purple. And it's just like a little hair wax. So something that's temporary, comes right out with water. Manic Panic makes some things. Just make sure that you do want to dye some hair. You know the difference between semi-permanent, temporary, and permanent dye. Just make sure you know the difference.
Amen.
Yeah, and for coloring my beard, I just honestly, because I'm a body painter, I have so many body paints. I honestly just use watercolors. If I was performing now, that would just like sweat out. I'd be dripping color.
Mhm.
And then I just set it with eyeshadow and hairspray because I'm streaming. But if I wasn't streaming, don't do that. Don't do that.
I will say I don't, partially because I'm lazy, partially because I don't know how, but partially because I'm trying to get these daddy patches of gray, the dignified white that a lot of people are really complimenting for, and I gotta get everything that's gonna get me attraction because I am what? Lonely.
How do you feel about chicken cutlets? Tell me more.
Can I deep fry them?
How much?
A breaded queen indeed. Great. Rita?
It sort of depends on the look. I mean, I keep mine is like much more of like in a stubble sort of area of like it's a much shorter beard. So usually it'll just be sort of like grease paint setting with eyeshadows, that sort of thing. But I love Evie's suggestion of what was it again? The wax.
Oh yeah, Halicare. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's super affordable.
You better get into it.
It's great. And I perform on stage, so I'm a sweaty gal. And this one, you're not gonna drip. Some of the other products, you just kind of gotta test them and know that how they're gonna work. I'll have a little bit of a trail down my décolleté. It's good. Adds to the effect.
Has anybody ever tried the glitter beard?
Oh
Yes, and I hated it.
it's the worst.
I hated it.
The worst.
I'm more of a matte queen. I like things that
A
are
matte
matte
finish.
on my beard.
I would say it looked like something I can't say on Twitch. That's
Good.
We'll let
You can imply it.
Yeah, you
though.
can let your
implied
imagination roam,
I
yeah.
think we get it.
Yeah, we get it.
it looked like
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I fill mine in with eyeshadow when I do. Honestly, lately I've really moved into just kind of letting it be natural. I think has a little bit of a softness that I'm kind of into lately. But when I do fill it in, I just use eyeshadow. I really like Juvia's place for it because Juvia's is
Highly pigmented.
so
Yes, 'cause-
pigmented. Yes,
And they're big pans. They're not
Mhm.
small.
I can take a giant brush and just mash it in there and really go to town. So
That's what this is today, the Juvia's place.
love that. Yeah. So hopefully for folks in chat, if you're looking to get started with drag, and you should, first off, excellent choice. Have some of those products and let us know. Tag us if you try them. Last question before we get around to our final plugs. I know some of you have mentioned kind of bearded dragsters in your communities. I just want to go around. Are there any bearded drag artists, queens, performers that you want to shout out that folks really need to be following or should know of if they want to kind of get a better understanding of?
Yeah, I think for me at least, like my pinnacle of like bearded drag is Matthew Anderson. If you don't know who Matthew Anderson is in drag, period, you should definitely know Matthew Anderson as he relates to bearded drag because he was one of the creative minds behind sort of like the modern image of what we know as RuPaul and was frequently featured in the earlier seasons up until about, I think, season 9. Used to have an amazing social media presence, wonderful bearded queen. If you've seen like the Marco shows that feature a lot of the drag entertainers and trans entertainers, sort of like from Drag Race and NLA, Matthew is like one of the last ones in both of the shows with a gorgeous gray beard that he has a wig that complements, and his makeup was the makeup that RuPaul's makeup to sort of be. So I think starting there is always really, really great. In terms of like in my local scene, there are some amazing bearded drag queens. Tammy Why Not is great. They formerly used to live here. Minnie Pearl Necklace is also great. Breezy is also great. Amber Waters, also great. And then I'm sure we'll mention some of the other ones like Lucy Stool that Blackberry we've mentioned. And in the UK, they also have there's some great international drag queens. Conchita Wurst, Frida Slaves in London.
Oh, Frida, yes.
Grace Shush. I also love like when drag kings do bearded drag. So like Tenderoni's beard is always great.
Yes.
Landon Cider, when they do a beard, it's always great. So I just recommend you to just like, if you ever need some good sources, we are the queens to provide you with like who we get inspiration from and also who we find community with.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like two of my biggest icons, Helvetica was where I learned a lot about just like being able to structure wigs and outfits, and also like they're an 80s stan, and that is so my vibe.
Sure.
And then I don't know if they primarily identify as bearded queens, but I do really enjoy the way that they incorporate facial hair into their aesthetic. And that is Bitch Puddin' and Eva Destruction. Like being able to witness two individuals just slay the hell out of looks. And for me, like just being able to perform and entertain and make you feel something like so skin. And then if we're shouting out some of our king friends, Lesbiana has one of the prettiest beards that you will ever see painted.
So clean,
like,
yes.
Like so clean every single time. Like Lesbe, if you're in the chat, I love you. I stan you. I will literally give you Shadow or Legend, whichever one you want, anytime you want.
Shadow.
And I would just honestly another. Like we haven't mentioned it, and like I'm gonna mention a Twitch queen, Alexis Atari, because they're in my chat a lot. Stunning,
beyond, yes.
Stunning. I don't know if they're in chat, but
they are.
Yes.
Well, you're stunning, Lav. Go follow them.
They are gorgeous.
All my answers have been taken, so any member of Team Stream Queens that's bearded and wasn't on this panel, shout them out.
Yeah.
Oh, right. And then I saw in the chat also Madam Madness from Drag Race Holland.
Yes.
Insane, beautiful, structured makeup, plays with facial hair so ornately in their drag. And of course, the episode they shaved their beard was the episode they went home, which I find very annoying. But like there are so many also like pockets on the internet of like finding bearded drag on Instagram. There's I think it's bearded_drag family. They feature a lot of they featured most of us, I believe, if not all of us. And they're a great community of just like seeing like bearded drag sort of anywhere and everywhere on internet land. There we go.
Yeah.
Prince Harming, another one that chat's mentioned.
Oh my gosh, Prince Harming.
Oh,
handsome.
Also,
handsome.
Joystick. And like gorgeous.
Joy,
oh my gosh, like Joy. Oh, like the structure, the beauty, and honestly, I want to steal those cheekbones, and I just want to like, like you're so good.
The only two that I would add, and then we'll go ahead and get right into our kind of plugs for the last couple minutes. But my French is terrible, but Le Gâteau Chocolat is a bearded performer in London who does opera in drag. There's like a whole bathroom opera series on their Instagram. Go follow them right now. So talented and so good. And then the other one is Kamani Sutra, who is a bearded artist from DC, who draws on a lot of they're South Asian, so they draw a lot of influence from like very ornate and lots of accessories, stunning and gorgeous. On that note, I know that we could sit here and talk about this all night long, and maybe we will. Maybe we'll just kind of hold on to the channel since we started late. But anyway,
we'll take it.
Yeah,
it's ours now.
Go look and yank me out of here with a hook. That's fine. So last minute plugs. Where can we find you? What are you working on? Where can folks get more of what you do?
Yeah, I can go first. I'm on twitch.tv/Avidius515, Avidius515 on all your socials. If you want some place to relax, hang out, and find a great community, you can find me live on Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Also Vogue.
Oh yeah, and Vogue too.
And Vogue.
The Vogue.com.
Oh yeah, that.
It was kind of.
That little publication that Miss Anna Wintour does on occasion.
Right. Dabbles.
You can find me at Shady Gaming. That's gaming with a Y because we are derivative and unoriginal. We have both a YouTube show and a Twitch show. Our Twitch is every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, 8 p.m. Central Time. Variety Act. I barely know what I'm streaming right now. Retro Tuesdays. My socials are IH8Lucy. And what I've got going on right now is I got to get final grades done.
All right. Rita, Twy, want to fight for it?
I was on the Rita since they're before me.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. You can find me on Instagram primarily, Twitter, Twitch. All the ats are the same. It's please read a book. Please spelled like the word. Rita spelled like the name, and then book spelled like the object. It's pretty easy. You can also find me on Venmo.
Oh, hey.
And yeah, I'm typically on Twitch on Saturdays, Saturday afternoon CST time. But I'm very frequently on Instagram. Some would say too much. And you can find me reading poems, reading nursery rhymes, reading the House Down Boots for Your Nerve, Yes God Mama.
Your TikTok is also phenomenal. Follow them on TikTok.
Oh yeah, I do a lot of like transformation TikToks where I hit my head, which brings a lot of joy to a lot of people to see me get a concussion. But yeah, and then also if you're ever sort of down south, just be on the lookout on my Instagram, and I might be performing. Ooh, but yeah,
And I'm just Twilight King94, DVD Killer Main. And listen, we love our Killer Mains. Bunny Fing Main. Some people hate it, some people love it. It's okay though.
Controversial yet brave.
And I stream every Monday through Thursday. Wait, what? Did someone come from a Bunny Fing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean,
Sandbagging later. Got it.
Definitely not a buddy thing.
Nobody
No.
mine.
But yeah,
I'll
you can
pretend
find
I
me on
get that
Twitch every Monday through Thursday, 2 o'clock CST, streaming all the time. Yeah. Social media is Twilight94. If you're drag artist, especially if you're a drag artist.
Amen.
It takes a lot of money to upkeep.
Right, rooming is not cheap. Love that.
so true.
I'm Carrie the One. I'm Carrie the One here on Twitch. I'm Carrie _the One on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm on YouTube now, so go follow me there. I play a lot of Fortnite, so if you're in Fortnite, please come say hello. Epic Games, please give me my supporter creator code back. It wasn't fair. I didn't do anything wrong. And just a little teaser. Perhaps look forward in the next couple months. You might see some perhaps information about Beauty and Beard, the digital drag show. What? Maybe it'll happen. You never know. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for your time. We had such a great time. My wig is sliding off. Have a great night, everyone. Happy Stream Queens Con. Go buy merch. Bye. I love you. Happy birthday,
Love
Chad.
y'all.
See you on the internet. Mwah.